Welcome back to another episode of the AfterHours podcast. I'm your host, Francisco. Co-host today, I have Daniel, and we are joined with Jen Fox, the co-owner of Spiral Brewery out in Minnesota. What's going on, Jen?
Hey guys, I'm really excited to be with you today.
Oh, we're excited to have you. I said Minnesota. I don't specifically know where you guys are at. Can you give us a little bit of a backstory about your location?
Absolutely. We are in Hastings, Minnesota, which is a small little hamlet on the Mississippi River, just south of the Twin Cities. We're actually like 25 minutes south of St. Paul. And it's one of our greatest benefits and biggest challenges because people think we're pretty far away, but we're actually just down the road. So it's a fun day trip for people in the Twin Cities area, and people are starting to learn that we're not quite that far away.
Well said. That's awesome. Spiral Brewery, where does the name come from?
Yeah. Hastings is a very historic city. It was founded 2 years before the state of Minnesota. And since we're right on the Mississippi River, our main thoroughfare crosses the river to get north or to go to Wisconsin because we're right on the border. And we've had 3 bridges that cross the river across the Mississippi. And one of them was a spiral bridge. And it was the only one of its kind in the world. It was pretty famous. And in about 1950, they realized that it couldn't hold the weight of automobiles and buses full of kids. So they tore it down and built a really beautiful blue bridge. Now we have an orange bridge. All of them are great and legendary. But Spiral Bridge kind of is the namesake for lots of things in Hastings, but it also has a ring to it for Spiral Brewery. Hastings, like I mentioned, was a historic city in Minnesota, and there were over 5 breweries before Prohibition. So Hastings Brewing Company was already taken pre-Prohibition, so we knew we couldn't have that. And Spiral Brewery was just the thing that we thought would play well in the market, but also have a really close connection to our hometown, which is where we have our tap room and our production facility.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good that they revamped the bridge if it wasn't safe for, children and, large vehicles. I understand.
Right.
That's a cool name, though. I have never heard of that, but I'm looking at some images right now online, and it's pretty wild, the Spiral Bridge. So
yeah, and you can see where it comes out into the town in all of those images. Right now in our tap room, we have 3 big prints of it behind me, and that street that it comes into is just to my left right now. So
okay, right on. That's sweet.
I noticed on your website you have like the big spiral going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a really cool animation.
Yeah, thanks. One of our friends helped us build our website, and he's a designer, so he was able to make that work on WordPress in a way that my co-owner and business partner Amy and I would not be able to do.
So how many people are in this partnership? Is it just you and Amy?
Yeah, so there are 5 of us. Okay. And if you're scrolling through our web page, which is spiralbrewery.com, you'll see a photo of all of us and then all of our photos later. All 5 of us went to a small liberal arts school in southern Minnesota, Gustavus Adolphus College. And at different times, my brother Nick is one of our business partners, and then Amy and Nick are married. So Amy's actually my sister-in-law. And then our friends Luke and Claire are our business partners, and Luke was our original brewer as well.
Very cool. Okay. This might be like a little off the cuff, but what would you say is everybody's greatest strength?
Oh, gosh. So we all have very different talents and strengths that made the brewery successful when we opened. And we really couldn't have done it without each person. Amy is, I think, born to be a project manager. So she has a very thorough and organized mindset. I have a creative and sales personality, if you will, which is what my role is with the business. My brother is kind of a dreamer, so he's got a lot of ideas. and also a musician, and he facilitates a lot of our live music, which is a huge part of our tap room environment. Luke, as I mentioned, was our first brewer, but not only that, he is an engineer by trade. So his genius helped design our system and worked really closely with our architects and engineers to make sure that our tap room was running as we need it to. That's why we're successful. And Claire is both organized and creative. So she's able to see things about the business that the other of us are not able to, and then format that in a way that we can actually use for process and procedure. So we're all very vital to the organization and couldn't do it without each other.
Sounds like you got the dream team all together. So how did everything come together? What started Spiral Brewery?
So Nick and Amy and I, in about late 2012, we're enjoying some craft beer and talking about how much we love our hometown of Hastings. And we just kind of looked at each other. Maybe we were 1 or 2 or 3 craft beers in, so we were pretty excited about this idea that we probably should bring a craft brewery to Hastings. And then we kind of joked about it, and within like 30 seconds, we knew that it was going to be called Spiral Brewery. We knew it was going to be in our historic downtown business district, right next to the Mississippi River, and we kind of had the dream there. And then we kind of noodled in business plans, and we noodled in talking to other breweries in Minnesota, and finally we had a real business plan. And we brought it to some friends in the industry, and they looked at it and they were like, that's not a business plan. So we ended up needing to kind of remake it, and we're like, okay, if we're going to get serious about this, let's find some beer. And then we were reconnected to Luke and Claire, our friends from college, and Luke had some incredible homebrew that we were really excited about. And they had ideas and a dream and a vision for a brewery similar to ours. So we unified, and then we had the whole plan together. And then in 2018, we finally opened. So that was a lot of time planning and finding investors and finding the financing and finding the right equipment and building out our space and planning out the beers, just a lot of time. And within that, we did have a Kickstarter campaign as well. So the real planning started probably in late 2013, early 2014. And then we ended up opening April of 2018.
What would you say was the hardest part of starting up the brewery?
I think the hardest part, which was also probably the most fun, is having the vision for the space that people will enjoy with you. And we always talked about it as like a warm industrial space, but what the hell does that mean? So we finally at one point in like early 2018, we were getting our tap room ready, and I looked around and I looked at my brother Nick and I was like, dude, we did it. Like, this is warm industrial. And it was fun because it was a target we were always going for. We didn't really know how to build it, but we somehow did it anyway. And then at some point we just were like, we're there, we did the thing. And then we have been doing the thing ever since.
Nice. So did you guys know from the beginning you guys wanted to be more than just a brewery? You also wanted to have a tap room?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, particularly to Minnesota, which perhaps you know this, but our liquor laws are pretty archaic. And for instance, we're not allowed to sell 4-packs out of the tap room. So for us, in our business plan, we knew that we were going to be a distribution brewery and not just a tap room. So to spin that question on its head, we always knew we wanted to distribute, but we wanted a tap room to go with it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did not know that. Okay, well, that's interesting. When we came across you guys online, specifically Dan, one of the things that I believe that caught your eye was the Kickstarter. Who was in charge of that, and how did you guys make it so successful?
Yeah, we all, of course, had a hand in it. Claire and I ended up taking the lead on the concept and the content. And then we all worked together to get all of the Kickstarter packages out. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, we had over 400 people back us, which is a really successful Kickstarter for a brewery. And we raised quite a lot of money. We had to keep coming up with these stretch goals, which were super fun in the end. But Kickstarter gives you a lot of guidance and a lot of training. And they were like, a lot of people get to 2 stretch goals. So make sure you have at least that many. And we ended up needing 4. So that was kind of fun. And one of them ended up being a very important backer party in the tap room. So after we were open, we just shut down the tap room on a Saturday and invited all 400 plus people to come and join us. And their first beer was on us. And it was just a time to celebrate the support that they gave us as backers. And that was a really big celebration. And they got to pick a beer that we brewed for the party. And they all voted on a New England style hazy IPA. This was also in 2018. So kind of during that craze, which I don't think has gone away in my opinion, but we called it Hazy Backer. And it went so well in the tap room. It was just gangbusters. So we ended up rebrewing it, but renaming it. And now it's one of our core brands. So our Kickstarter backers have given us so much more than their support and energy. They're part of the reason that we were able to get up and running.
For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Was the Kickstarter a part of the business plan originally?
It was not critical to opening, but it was part of our marketing plan. Okay. So we weren't counting on those dollars to come in and put us over the edge for financing. But they were incredibly helpful to the point where we were able to build a couple amenities into our construction because of that extra financing that were able to get us farther to where we are now with a rooftop patio. So it was really, really crucial to our business and not part of our overall business plan.
For sure. How many beers did you guys have originally as like your flagship batch?
We had 6 flagship beers, and of those 6, 3 of them are still some of our flagship beers. And the others kind of come in and out, definitely seasonally, but mostly when we have time in our production schedule to bring them back in. So we always try and keep fun seasonals out. And of course, we have big beers for our anniversary. So right now we have an extraordinary spiced wheat wine on our tap menu and available in bottles. And we also have a pale ale and a fruited hazy IPA and a chocolate cherry porter all on tap right now that are not part of our core brands. We carry 3 seltzers that kind of circle in flavors, but we brew the seltzers here and they're just on tap with our beers.
They all sound so delicious.
Do you have a favorite?
I do. It's our Mississippi Fog Hazy IPA, that hazy backer, formerly known as. It's just nice and tropical and fruity and very delicious. So it's my go-to. And it's also one of our best sellers in cans and kegs. So we frequently brew it.
Love to hear it.
I want to try them all.
Yeah, our other flagship brands that we keep on tap all the time are our Towny Kulsch style ale. And it's just this super clean, crisp, refreshing Kulsch. And we called it the Towny because we needed folks in Hastings to have kind of a gateway to craft beer. And it really does the trick. It's 5% ABV and it's just really refreshing. And we know it's a local day in the tap room when we sell like 100 pints of Towny. The other 2 are Downward Spiral IPA, which is just a standard American style IPA with a huge list of hops, but it's really easy drinking, and the malt build just totally balances it out. So you can just have one after the other, but it is 7.4% ABV. So people get a little surprised by it sometimes. But it's nice and dry and just easy drinking. And then our hard left stout, which our co-owner Luke likes to say is half oatmeal stout, half chocolate stout, half milk stout. Mm-hmm. So it's a big beer with a lot of flavor, and that's 6.8% ABV. So it has that nice like alcohol bite to it, but then that oatmeal and that lactose calm it down.
Who is the one that, you know, gets crazy on it and says like, all right, we're going to try this, or we're going to bring in a new flavor here? Is there any person on the team that has that adventurous spirit?
Our brewer of them right now is, his name is Bobby Blasey, and he has this really creative eye for bringing in fun ideas to the tap room so that we keep our customers satisfied, but also learning with us. For instance, we have a fruited hazy IPA online right now, and it's fruited with pink guava, which is kind of a really juicy, but a little bit subtle and a little bit tart fruit. So the fruit with that really juicy hazy build is like kind of like grapefruit almost. It's really, really delightful, and it has this really nice haze of like rosy pink in the color. It's just so pretty. For our anniversary party a few weeks ago, Bobby pulled a couple seltzer kegs, and he put birthday cake and bubblegum flavoring in it just for like that weekend. And they were such a hit. They were so fun. And the bubblegum was like fuchsia pink. It was a blast. So nice and Instagrammable, if you will.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any favorite parts about running the brewery?
I really love sharing our craft with whether it's like a client or my sales team or a new bar that we are working with. We'll have them come in and we'll introduce their staff to all of our beers so they know what they're serving in their own house. I love that time together to talk to them about what malts are and what hops are and how that makes a beer and what the process is in our big jugs here in the tap room. So our equipment is like right in our tap room. You maybe saw that in some of the pictures online. So it makes people pretty excited to learn about the process. And we off the cuff sometimes give tours. We don't have anything like scheduled out, but we give tours once in a while to folks in the tap room and just teaching them what the brewing process really is and having them be educated beer drinkers in our establishment. And when they go and find us out in the wild, it just makes for a really fun relationship.
Absolutely. You mentioned that, you know, the craft IPA world was still a little bit new to Hastings. Were you guys just like ahead of the curve there, or where did you guys draw a lot of your inspiration for that in 2012, 2013?
Well, we didn't start brewing until, Luke had been brewing for years and years and years, but we didn't start brewing in-house until early 2018. And at that point, I think we had some craft beer lovers in Hastings, but they weren't the Townys that I was referring to for the Kulsch style ale. So a lot of that has been from our marketing perspective. How do we encourage people to try porter, and if they like Chardonnay, what kind of beer would they like? And like, how do we get people in and try new things? And if they like the Towny, maybe they should try the stout because they maybe just will like it. It's just a lot of education and time spent with our customers and understanding that not everybody's going to like beer, and that's okay. Another funny thing about Minnesota liquor laws is that we can only have our beer on tap here because we're a production facility. So we only have our craft beer and our hard seltzer here, and then we have non-alcoholic options as well. Like kombucha and cold pressed coffee available. So if you come in and you ask for a gin and tonic or a rum and coke, we're never going to be able to give it to you. So just another silly fact about Minnesota liquor laws.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is your least favorite part about operating a brewery?
I delivered our beer for a really, really long time. And we now thankfully have a part-time delivery driver who is helping me out with that. And my sales team is also helping out with that. And I think it was really challenging to both sell and deliver simultaneously. So I'm really grateful for the help in that division.
Well, luckily, I think we're getting close to a time where they have those little like self-driving cars. Like they have some over. We're at one of the universities. It's like about 2 feet tall, and they deliver pizza or something. So maybe there will be one specifically for beer.
Yeah, keg delivery mobiles. Maybe we should patent that, Frankie.
Love it.
Don't like those drone boxes that you see at like BG?
Yeah, over at Bowling Green.
Yeah, okay, those are pretty sweet.
Yeah, they're interesting. Okay. Or like those, what's that robot dog that is at Boston University or wherever they have a dog where you kick it over, but it gets back up and keeps walking.
Oh my gosh.
It's just a robot dog, so it's okay.
So it's okay.
How has social media and digital marketing played a role in your growth at Spiral Brewery?
I like to think that's one of the things that I manage and plan for. And I like to think that it has very positively affected our business. I think it, particularly in the last year of the pandemic, it's a way for people to connect safely. But on top of that, it's a way for people to interact with your brand daily. So, we'll post something and it'll be shared and then it'll be distributed and then people will come in and reference that post. We use a lot of Facebook Live videos. Amy and I make her do them like once a month on a Friday, just to keep people engaged and keep them wanting to come in on a Friday afternoon for a beer. And it's kind of challenging to be creative constantly like that, but it's also silly and fun, and it's an outlet for us to share our craft in a way that not everybody gets to in their job.
For sure. How did that play a role during COVID? Were you guys open during COVID at all?
Yeah, so we were only open for beer to go. So in Minnesota, like I mentioned, we aren't able to sell 4-packs or 6-packs or cases of beer over the counter, but we can sell 64-ounce growlers, or what is it, 32.5 ounce crowlers, which is like a big can. And we started crowlering during COVID, and people were able to order online and come and pick up their growlers and crowlers for limited hours, similar to like takeout at a restaurant. So that's how we were open. And then starting in June of 2020, we were able to open at like a small capacity inside and a lower capacity outside with masks. So it was certainly challenging, but we are very fortunate for the folks who ordered our beer online and picked up growlers and crowlers to go, and then engaged on social media, sharing where they were drinking their crowlers, whether it was down at the riverfront, which is a national park, so you're allowed to with crowlers, in Hastings, or at home, or in their garage, wherever they were enjoying it. It was a fun way to connect and keep people tied into Spiral. And then with social media and Zoom, I guess, we were able to do like happy hours where I would work with our beer tender who was pouring growlers to go. And I would just set up a laptop and they would like interact with the beer tender like they were sitting at the bar. And it was super fun and silly. And of course it was like mostly our regulars that tuned into those, but it was a nice way to just reconnect with folks that we hadn't seen in so long. And we also did a couple like Facebook Live concerts from in the taproom and in musicians' homes. just to keep people engaged to Spiral. So we would encourage people to come and get beer to go and then watch the live music online. We did a whole week of virtual events for our anniversary in 2020. And that was a lot of work, but super fun. And it was really like the most fun just to connect with people online. And right after they came in to get their beer to go and enjoy our beer with us in that virtual setting. And then we just have a very robust online presence. So it's something that we've maintained before and through the pandemic.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you've learned over the last year that maybe having a new perspective on like things through just all the standards we had to go through, has that like made you look at anything in a different way?
By now, changing guidelines and regulations doesn't feel quite as challenging as it did last year, because at the end of the day, we can't do anything about it, and people are going to throw a fit or they're not, and most people won't, and they're still going to want our beer. They're still going to want to go and get takeout. They're still going to want to go on walks with friends, and the important part is just being able to meet people where they are and appreciate the camaraderie within all of the challenges that we are facing.
Absolutely. Do you plan on expanding to more than one brewery, or do you want to keep it just to the one brewery?
Yeah, that's a way more fun question than a question about the pandemic. Yeah, we don't want another brewery. We want Spiral forever and ever, amen. But we, at some point, will hit a capacity threshold here in the tap room. Our fermenters are only so big, and there are only 30 of them. Just for those listeners who know about fermenters, ours are 30-barrel conditioned fermenters. So they take up a lot of space, and there are 6 of them, and they are named for all of the historic breweries in Hastings. But we eventually will hit that threshold, and we'll need a space that's specifically for production so that we are able to continue growing into more and more distribution. Yes to expansion within our medium-term future. And we would love to just find like a warehouse somewhere to put more fermenters. And it would just be our production space. And then we would always have our tap room here right on 2nd Street in historic Hastings.
Okay.
What is something that you wish you would have known when you first began?
Oh, so much about budgeting. I wish I knew anything about business. That's kind of a joke, but I think a lot of people feel that once they get into business. They're like, I thought I knew something, and it's every day is an adventure. I wish I knew. I don't know. I'm still learning so much every day, but I feel like I don't ever feel like I'm at a deficit in what I know. And part of that is that the Minnesota craft beer industry is just so generous with all of the different accounts that are in Minnesota. Sorry, I meant to say all of the different craft beverage industries in Minnesota are just really generous with each other, and they're super supportive, and they really just want the other businesses to succeed. Of course, there are fun industry tensions and people who are a little bit more competitive than others. But I learned so much from other breweries and other salespeople in the industry. It's really uplifting instead of making me feel like I just know nothing. And then I get to pass that on to other folks that I meet. So it's a fun industry to be in, and I feel really fortunate that Spiral is located in Minnesota.
That's a really cool relationship that you're able to foster with all the neighboring breweries.
Yeah, it's really special. And like I mentioned, Hastings is not in the Twin Cities, but it's not too far from the Twin Cities. So we're not always the first place that people think of when they think of Twin Cities breweries, but we can still have that relationship with other brewers and salespeople and other tap rooms, really.
Have you had anybody that was like specifically a mentor to you?
Yeah, I've had a couple friends who I've made in the industry who have worked for a few different companies who have really not only like taught me lessons about margin analysis and how to sell to somebody who treats you like this or who expects this from a salesperson. They're also just super encouraging, and they also talk about our beer when they meet new people, and they share it with their friends when you give them a 4-pack, and it's just a really wholesome and uplifting environment.
Nice. Do you have any favorite breweries in the area that aren't yours, of course?
Yes. My partner and I really love going to Modest Brewery in Minneapolis. We love going to Sociable Cider Works, also in Minneapolis. And Bad Weather Brewing is one of my favorites in St. Paul. And then we love some breweries in the Duluth area as well, including Ursa Minor. And there's a cidery up there called Wild State that's really fun. Those are just to name a few, but you really can't go wrong.
Nice.
And are there any special holidays that you guys like to thrive on, or that you guys celebrate, to an extraordinary amount?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think National IPA Day is in August. And is that the kind of holiday you mean? Or?
Any holiday that you guys, want to promote, for sure.
Yeah. So National IPA Day is in August, and that's when we release our double IPA, which we call Double Down Word Spiral. And it is very delicious, and it comes in at 9% ABV, and it's super drinkable, and it's perfect for that hot August day. But then we also have our Mississippi Fog Hazy IPA and our Downward Spiral IPA. So we just move an incredible amount of IPAs that week, and it's something that's just fun to highlight and play with. On Thanksgiving morning, we have a big 5K run in Hastings called I think it's an 8K or a 2K, not a 5K, but it's called the Gobblegate, and it starts like right outside our door. So we have people who maybe need a quick stout before they run 8K on Thanksgiving morning, and then they'll come back. We partner with local restaurants to have like breakfast sandwiches, and people stick around for part of the day, and then they eat a breakfast sandwich and drink some beers and then go have a bunch of food with their family. And it's super fun, and it's a great way to start a holiday like that. And then on New Year's Eve in 2019 to 2020, we had a partnership with a game store that's right across the street from us, Level Up Games. If you're looking for an online game store to order fun cards from or board games, definitely check them out, Level Up Games. And we had a Super Nintendo night from like 9 p.m. to like 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve, and it was such a blast. So we're going to do that again once we can have people in here on New Year's Eve, which I'm hoping for in 2021.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And other events you have, what is Trivia Mafia?
Oh, yeah. So I'm excited that you asked this question. Because I'm sure if you're not from Minnesota, you have no idea what it is. But we have a company in Minnesota, the world's best bar trivia, Trivia Mafia. And they do wonderful events in all sorts of establishments. Trivia, many rounds with both music rounds and image rounds, and it changes up all the time, and it's super clever trivia. Sometimes they do theme nights, music rounds and image rounds, and it's super fun. And they even have theme nights. We hosted a Stranger Things theme night here in the taproom in 2019. Coming up on their page, you'll see that they have a Simpsons trivia night and a Homestar Runner trivia night, which is one that I'm interested in. And I'm just really impressed with the quality of events that they put out. They also, I don't want to say pivoted, but they pivoted during the pandemic to do online events. And and they have a Patreon, and they have a newsletter that goes out daily with trivia questions and an adorable little piece about pets and plants. And look Trivia Mafia up online and join the community. You will not regret it. It's so fun. And then when you're all in Minnesota drinking Spiral beer, we have trivia on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and that will be starting in June for us again after not having it for well over a year. So we're super excited to have them back in the tap room. And we have a really big group of people from all over the Twin Cities who come and play trivia here on Wednesday night. So we're excited to see some of those faces again.
Heck yeah, sounds like a good time.
I've never done like trivia or anything like that at a bar, so I really want to now.
Yeah, like I've done restaurants, but I've never done like a bar or brewery, and I feel like that adds a little something to it.
Yeah. The key is getting the right team, and I think multi-generational, varied interest is really the key to a successful trivia team. Yeah, you can definitely go wrong in picking your trivia partners.
I like it. There's a strategy to it.
Yeah.
I would have never even thought about that, but like that makes sense. I mean, you don't want to have like 4 or 5 people that have the same knowledge. Like that just doesn't help anybody. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, what, we all majored in English? Like we're gonna get 2 questions, right? I need a baseball player on my team.
Exactly. Do things ever get a little heated or a little rowdy during these?
Very much. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people get really, really specific about the answers. And then historically, I'm not sure how they're doing this moving forward, but the Trivia Mafia staff like grade the papers. And you can get half points, of course. And sometimes people get a little heated and contest the answer because they think it was more than half right, or they deserve half a credit, or
65% right.
It gets kind of wild in here.
Damn. Yeah, I definitely would be lobbying, trying to get some points, some extra points.
Maybe that's your part on the team.
Yeah.
I can do that. Easy. For sure.
That's too funny.
That or give me sports, one of the two.
Sports, yeah. Big sports guy.
Yeah.
There are always questions about sports, and those are usually the questions I get wrong.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, anything hockey or soccer, basketball, I can kill any of those 3 sports.
Well, you're coming to the state of hockey if you're going to be playing here, so...
That's true. Okay. I'm liking Minnesota already.
Yeah.
Why is it called the state of hockey? Is it just because you guys produce like a lot of hockey players, a lot of phenomenal athletes?
I'm not sure about phenomenal athletes, but we definitely, I don't think there's one town that doesn't have a hockey team because we all have frozen lakes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like in so many people's backyards, there's just like water, and you just like go out and play hockey because what else are you going to do? It's snowing.
Yep.
You get that though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate for at least where my family grew up because we lived in the standard suburban area. So like our backyard was probably about 50 feet by 100 feet.
Oh, sure.
So like there was one year where we like my dad tried to do the homemade ice rink, and like it was cool, but like we didn't do all that much skating
ever again.
Yeah. But no, one of our, I know we're kind of going off of a little bit of a tangent. One of our family members in New York, Buffalo, New York, they have like a much bigger backyard, and it's like they just need just a little bit of water to get the ice going, and they got like a full ice rink out there. It's crazy.
That's sweet.
That'd be dope.
So fun.
I know, just one last side note here. I know Minnesota, they still have players that are getting drafted out of high school to play like at the NHL level.
Yeah.
So that's why like I'm not surprised that you guys are called the state of hockey. I was just trying to pick your brain.
Oh yeah.
A lot of good athletes for sure though. Like literally like one of the only sports that you can still draft out of high school in North America.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So going back to Spiral Brewery, one question I had. So like when I enter the door, like so like what am I seeing? How's the setup? Like with the layout of the room, and then also with the upper level, I think you have like a rooftop patio. What's the whole setup?
Yeah. So It's kind of fun. We have one door in the front, just like this normal size door for our whole tap room. So when we opened on April 20th in 2018, we had like 100 people come in the front door in a minute. So It was kind of wild. It's kind of funny, but we have like all these big windows in the front. And when you enter, there's about 10 feet of space, and then you hit the bar right away. So hopefully when you walk in, you're greeted by a smiling beer tender who asks you how your day's going. And then you get to see the menu right behind our beer tenders, and right behind the menu, you see 6 giant fermenters. So right when you come in, you know what's coming at you. Then it's a really long, narrow building. On either side, we have brick and limestone. And our original tin ceiling from 1901. And then you can see stairs going up to a little area and one door going outside on the rooftop. And in the midst of the tap room, it's just like big and open. And when we have bands, it's very loud because it's very echoey. And we typically have 75 seats available when we're at 100%. Right now, we're still at about 60% capacity. Hopefully, when you come in to see us here at Spiral Brewery in Hastings, Minnesota, you're going to just see lots of smiling faces, lots of empty and full beer glasses, and lots of hustle and bustle. And that's what we like to keep going on here in the tap room. And then on the rooftop, this will be our first full summer with it open. We opened it last August, so August 2020. And we have about 30 seats up on the rooftop, and it faces north. So it's looking over the Mississippi River. Our regular customers who may or may not listen to this are going to tell you that there's a big substation from Xcel Energy right behind our building. So you have to kind of look through that to see the beautiful Orange Bridge and the Mississippi River. But I don't think it impedes on people's aesthetic enjoyment too much. But it's just all right there. It's all open air. In the winter, we have a tent up there, so you can enjoy the space and not worry about snow. And it does block from the wind a little bit because the river wind does get pretty harsh. If you keep walking back in our tap room, you're going to walk right into our production space, which when our tap room is open, we block off. It's just a long, narrow building. So that's what you can expect when you come and visit me.
Heck yeah. I really do think the rooftop patio idea is really awesome. Like just being outside is nice. Being able to like have a drink and just being outside if it's nice out. Like that's one of my favorite things is being able to do that. So I think that's, yeah.
I think that's like everyone in the Midwest's favorite thing to do.
Be outside and drink.
Yeah. I was going to say like barbecuing and drinking outside. I mean, that's pretty much the Midwest.
Yeah. We were born to do it.
Yep.
So you mentioned that the buildings dates back to 1901. I was wondering if you knew any of the history behind the building.
Yeah, we do actually. So our building was constructed in 1901, and we actually think it was an alley between 2 buildings because the walls are different on either side. Like I said, it's brick and limestone. So we think they just slapped a roof on top and made it a building. And it was originally a shoe store. And then it was a clothing store that was connected to the building next to it. And then most recently, it was a photography studio. And they really brought it back to its full glory with the exposed walls and the tin ceiling. The back end where we do our production stuff was actually constructed in about 1950, we think. Or that's at least what the deed says. But because the river is just right behind us, and the wall that you can see when you head to the restrooms, you can see some really big lettering that they used as like the front facade because the river was First Street in Hastings. So lots of fun history in our little downtown.
And with it being older, would you happen to know if there are any ghost stories?
Oh my God, we have a ghost.
Nice.
So we have these big I don't know what kind of wood it is. These big pillars, if you're looking at a picture of our tap room, there are 3 of them. 2 of them are fully exposed. 1 of them is in the center of our bar. The first one, the one in the center of our bar, we believe there lives a spirit named Emily. And she is mostly friendly, but she can get kind of mad if our beer tenders are closing really late. And she'll just like throw stuff around sometimes.
That's rude.
Yeah, she's super sweet though. I'm standing right next to her and we're fine. No, it's really fun. We had time lapse of our construction. And in like the middle of the night one night, there was like this big flash. And we like tried to isolate it and figure out, it was probably a car. It was probably a whatever. It was probably and it definitely wasn't. It was like a flash from inside the building at like 2 a.m. on some night. So during our construction. So that's how we met Emily. And then she's made herself known to our beer tenders time and time again.
Why is she named Emily?
Our taproom manager, Heidi, just knew her name was Emily from the moment she met her.
Okay. That's cool.
Naturally.
Mm-hmm. Naturally, just talking to spirits.
Yeah.
Well, Emily needs to learn some manners that it's not nice to throw stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, Emily seems like a great person.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have no story about her yet, but someday we'll learn it.
Do you have any hangover recipes when you've been, in the research and development for a little too long?
I honestly think a good dry American stout is the best hangover cure.
Okay. I haven't tried it, but that's on the list for sure.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Especially if you can get your hands on our hard left stout. It's just this crisp, dry punch to the face. And I think it does the trick whenever I maybe was here too late the night before.
What is your favorite hometown restaurant?
The Onion Grill. It's probably 90 steps away from our building, which we have 5 wonderful restaurants right in our first block of downtown. So I will not discredit any of them if you come and join me here. But the Onion Grill is just my top-notch favorite pick.
What's the go-to order?
She has this salmon platter that just blows my mind. It has smoked salmon with hard-boiled eggs, lots of pickled veggies, some fresh crispy carrots, and some delicious bread to dip in some cream cheese. It's just perfect. Sounds
really good. Mm-hmm. I've learned recently because I love salmon, but I didn't know how many things go well with salmon. I think it was just maybe a week ago where it was an orange infused salmon, and that probably has to be my new favorite meal.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, there's so much you can do with salmon.
Yeah, true.
And while we're on our topic here of some off-topic questions here, what would you say is the most thrill-seeking thing that you've ever done?
I think owning a brewery.
Okay. I mean, that's a given. I mean, we all know that's pretty crazy. Anything like skydiving.
A thrill seeker. I really hate adrenaline, and I don't like feeling nervous. So I don't go after thrills very often. Damn. I mean, I've gone parasailing, but that's pretty calm.
No, that is not. That's terrifying. That's crazy.
That was fun.
That's where the boat's at a 50-degree angle, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. They were like, do you want to dip your toes in the water? And I was like, fuck no. Sorry. I can't swear on your podcast.
No, you're fine.
No, you're good. Say whatever you want. Do you have any advice for anybody listening that is going to go into the food and beverage industry, not specifically brewing, but anything in the industry?
Number 1, get your ducks in your row. Figure out what you're going to do and get the business plan behind you. And then believe in yourself and just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off, try it, and if it fails, move on. It won't fail because you have that dream, but you got to try it. You just got to go for it.
I love it. And it's crazy. You never know, even if you do fail, what that might turn into, because it might just turn into something else.
Yeah, the people that you meet in the process are just that's going to be the whole benefit to what if it doesn't work out, it's going to be a blast anyway.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I don't have any other questions specific to you or Spiral Brewing, but do you have any for us?
What is your favorite craft beverage that you've tried through this podcast?
Ooh, okay. For talking in general, my favorite has to be Proof Ice Cream. It's they make alcoholic ice cream.
Yeah.
So good.
Wait, you've heard of them?
Well, only through you guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Super fun.
Yep. That was another Jen Randall Collins.
Yeah.
Yep. She was phenomenal to work with, but yes, also the ice cream they make is unbelievable.
Dangerously delicious.
That's amazing.
I would say for me, I really enjoyed the Degree 419 that we had with Quench and Tempered, which is a brewery here in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
We got to visit them at their tap room and try a couple of their beers. So
awesome.
I was a really big fan of that. So the 419 because that's the area code of Toledo, but then also Degree 419 is like a play on words for steelworking, which is tempered. So
cool.
Yep.
Do you guys have plans to go back in person and meet with folks?
Oh, all right. This is a great question. I love this. Dan, yeah. I mean, I'll let you feel it.
Yeah. So, back when Corona first started up, we initially wanted to just interview local bars and breweries, but then Corona started up, so we kind of expanded our horizons and started doing things remotely, and we realized really quickly you can interview anyone from anywhere remotely. Like just last a week or two ago, we interviewed a guy from Ukraine, which is awesome.
Such a fun interview.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do is when Corona is, when it kind of eases down, we can travel a little more. We really want to go on to just a voyage across America to all the different places that we've interviewed and actually sit down and, actually meet everyone that we've interviewed.
That would be so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is the plan. COVID was a little bit of a blessing in disguise in terms of like what we thought we wanted for the podcast, because originally it was just us visiting local. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like there is another aspect or dimension that you can't beat an in-person interview and like the atmosphere and a couple of drinks, but it really broadened our horizons. And I mean, like me, Joey, and Dan, the three hosts of the show, we have been looking forward to this trip for a while. So it's probably going to start up in Toronto or up in Montreal, somewhere in Canada, and then work our way through New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, down the coast. Yep. And then, and then just work our way down the coast, go to like the South, and then we'll probably stop at all the Midwest ones on our way back. And then,
sweet.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be able to go to Ukraine or New Zealand though.
No, probably not.
Unfortunately. That would be a lot of fun though.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I'll come with when you do that one.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to have you here at Spiral and in Hastings. I'll take you out for that salmon platter. But thank you so much for reaching out. This is super fun. I guess I forgot to ask you guys, do you have favorite styles of beer?
I like me a stout.
Yeah.
It's my go-to.
I really could not tell you. I will drink anything, beers, spirits, ice cream. I mean, I literally will try anything, and I'll drink about anything. I really don't have like a personal preference for anything, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, great. I have a lot of options for both of you then.
Okay. And then lastly, I guess, like, where can people find you? And what's your social media?
Yeah, so if you go to Instagram or Facebook, it's at Spiral Brewery, and then Twitter at Spiral Brewery. You can find us anywhere in the middle of Minnesota. We're working on distributing to southern Minnesota and Iowa and northern Minnesota generally. And then we are also available in western Wisconsin, all the way to Menominee. So if you are listening in any of those regions, look for us there or find us at spiralbrewery.com. /our beers, and you will be able to find a map that you can interact with and find our beers out in the wild, both at bars and restaurants and in liquor stores.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Jen Fox from Spiral Brewery, co-owner. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks, Dan and Frankie.
All right, After Hours Nation, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to stay updated, you can check out our site at afterhourscast.com. Don't forget to tune in next Tuesday morning for our next episode. After Hours Nation, stay thirsty, my friends.